More music. Better mental health. Only on IPL Radio.
All right, we are back. You're now listening to The Late Show with Kit Adams, and we are attempting to launch my first on-air meeting, and here we have Dr. Eric Plasker. Today, too many people believe that our health is dependent on a drug and our longevity is a matter of luck or good genes. But Dr. Eric Plasker, chiropractor, educator and author of the 100-Year Lifestyle series, believes that everyone deserves to be healthy and express their full life potential from the moment they are born through to their last breath of life. And that more and more of us are actually living much older than we anticipate. No worries. Thanks for being on the show. I'm not sure if you heard, I was just giving your intro. You're the author of the 100-Year Lifestyle series. You're a chiropractor, have been for about 30-odd years, and you're just sort of promoting sort of well-being and helping people get their full potential out of their movement and their health, and so I believe.
Yes, indeed. And it's exciting to be with you. We have, I love your country, Australia. Been there many times. And,
thank you very much.
People are living longer than ever everywhere, even in spite of all the craziness. Unfortunately, yes, we have survived a pandemic. That's actually the good news, that we have survived a pandemic, and maybe some loved ones we have lost along the way. We will certainly miss them and pray for them, but we're still here and we're stronger than ever.
Absolutely.
Our immune systems are stronger than ever, so we may as well make the most of this century that we have in front of us.
Yep, that's it. We've definitely done well to come out of the pandemic the way we have. Of course, didn't turn out so great for some people, but we're still here, so let's make the most of the life while we've got it.
Absolutely, which is really what the 100-Year Lifestyle is all about.
Yeah, beautiful. And so where does it sort of start? For someone that's sort of just hearing about this now, what would you say is the first step into promoting a better lifestyle and sort of getting the whole 100-year lifestyle, the best value out of that?
Well, great question. And it starts with embracing this reality of our extended life expectancy potential. You know, when I started in practice, I had no idea of this, what we were capable of from a life expectancy standpoint. Never even thought about it, to be honest with you. And then a 100-year-old man changed my life. A patient of mine came in at 98 years old, crippled, broken, alone, asked me if I could help him. I had no idea if I could or not. Started to work with him chiropractically, adjusted him, helped get his body working better, and he did amazing. He was,
at 100 years old?
Well, he was 98 at the time, and he came in for a year, did fantastic. So now he's 99 years old, doing really fantastic, energetic movement, walking, moving his whole body, his arms, standing up straighter, posture improved, all of that.
Yeah, right.
And then after a year of him coming in and saying, "Thank you, Dr. Plasker, thank you," he stopped coming, and we didn't know what happened to him. And so we thought he passed away. But then another year went by and he came back to my office. And this is the shocking part. He came back to the office, and after being gone for a year, he had gone backwards again, and he really looked weak and tired.
Oh, right.
Like a man who was ready to go. And he literally said thank you to me and died in my arms.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yep.
Yeah, right. That's an interesting story. I mean, great that he... I suppose, managed to live that last year with some good movement and stuff. It's not the ending to the story I was expecting, but I mean, a good resolution in the end, you know. I mean, he come back, and what more could you ask for from a patient than to give you a sort of final testimonial and come in and thank you for what you helped him achieve in the late stages of life.
Yeah, it was. It took me a while to process that, quite honestly. And then I started asking people this question, Tris. I started asking the people, hey, if you knew you'd live to 100, how would you change your life today? And then I started doing the research, found out 100-year-old people are one of the world's fastest growing group. We were the first person on the planet, I believe, to really start talking about it in this context. We've been teaching it for over 23, 24, 25 years now. And what's interesting is that there is now, people are talking about it more than ever because they have their aging parents and grandparents. Unfortunately, many of them are not doing well. They're rotting away, sadly, in mind and body because they didn't know they were going to live this long, so they didn't know how to take care of themselves. So the first thing that we need to do as a younger generation, this generation, the offspring of these blindsided accidental centenarians, as I call them, is we need to embrace our longevity potential and get a vision for our extended life. And when we do that, we start to live differently.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I suppose I sort of see that firsthand myself. You do, just with relatives and loved ones around me and family and friends, you do see a stark contrast sometimes in the sort of movement that people have in their 60s, and then you see other people that are in their 80s that seem a lot more active and stuff. And obviously there's something that they're doing with their lifestyle that's just promoting more movement and staying active and stuff like that, you know. And I remember a while ago I was actually going in for a surgery and I spoke to the anaesthetist and he asked me if I was smoking, and at the time I was, and I said that to him, and he said there's going to be a lecture at the end of that, and he actually said to me that at the moment with sort of medical advancements and stuff, and this is what you're talking about with the longevity that we're getting at the moment, he said basically for every 5 years that we live now, due to medical advancements, we're basically guaranteed another year. And that's just sort of where it's trending. You know, we are all living longer, mostly due to medical advancements, but a lot due to awareness of lifestyle as well, I suppose, which is where you come in.
Right. And I'm going to take a little different spin on it, quite honestly. I don't really believe that it's the medical advancements that are having us live longer.
Yeah.
The reality of it is we call it innate life expectancy, innate longevity potential, because we have always had this longevity potential. What the advancements do is they help correct problems that may be underlying diseases that we get because of lifestyle choices that we may have made along the way. They may give us a second chance. These are called second chancers. But the reality of it is the majority of the people that live quality of life as they age are people that didn't get sick in the first place. And so the quality really depends on how well you take care of yourself, your neurology, your nutrition, your endurance, strength, and structure. It's an acronym that we have for fitness, where if you want to be fit over the long haul, then you need to take care of this N squared ESS, the neurology, nutrition, endurance, strength, and structure, so that you could stay active as you age. I'll give you an example. My father had heart disease, so they said he had heart disease because he had a heart attack at the age of 49. So it scared him. He stopped smoking instantly. He lost 30 to 40 pounds. He started trying to reduce his stress, but he continued to live in fear because he was afraid, because his father had, quote unquote, heart disease. His father died of a heart attack in his 60s. And so he was living in fear constantly that he was going to die from heart disease. Well, here I am, and he started following everything the doctor said, started taking all this medication, and it ended up that he died at the age of 78, but the last 10 years of his life from the side effects of the medication. He literally had Alzheimer's. He did not know who his family was, and it was really sad for myself and my family. On the contrary, and this is an important piece of it. So I just turned 60. My father had a heart attack at 49. They told me I had heart disease that ran in my family, so I should take all these drugs. I have not taken a single medication. I do not take any medication. I'm 60 years old. I'm fit. I'm very healthy. Don't have any signs of heart disease, even though they said many times to me, heart disease runs in my family. So a lot of the things that we think are family history are not really family history that we need to be afraid of if we're willing to change our lifestyle. The reality of it is what ran in my family was smoking, being overweight, and having a high stress life and not enjoying what I did for a living. So these became elements of the 100-year lifestyle so that people like you and I can change and rewrite our family history with our choices.
Yeah, of course. So basically what you're saying is that it was his lifestyle choices that led to the heart attack at 49. He sort of got misdiagnosed as having heart disease maybe, and then the medications that he was on actually severely deteriorated his quality of life going into his later years. And although he actually
Correct.
lived
And
a
so
sort
he
of
lived-
decent lifetime at 78 years, that sort of last decade lacked the quality that it could have if he had looked at things the right way and was given the right information, I suppose.
Correct. And so he died after spending 10 years in a home, not knowing anybody, with a healthy heart, but no brain, because he didn't know anybody. And so those are the things that we have to understand, the foundational principles of the 100-year lifestyle, where they are different, where they're different than the norm and the status quo today. Is the allopathic world is taking credit, trying to take credit for longevity, when the reality of it is they don't deserve the credit. They have helped people. Yes, I'm not saying that doesn't help people, but what people need to understand is that you have that longevity potential. And so if you have the vision, you can live without fear. And if you have the vision, you could change your life. You could make the changes that we all know we need to make them. We need to eat healthier, eat organic. We need to move and be fit. We need to take care of our nervous system, which is one thing as a chiropractor we do constantly with our patients, with our people. We help them stay aligned, stay balanced, so the body doesn't degenerate. We take care of the structure. We take care of the neurology. And then taking care of keeping ourselves strong along the way. These are all important things that we have control over with our choices.
So it sounds like a sort of very holistic approach, instead of just sort of developing an illness and then finding a medication and treating the symptoms that arise at the time, having more of a holistic approach, like looking at your lifestyle and your nutrition and obviously all the things that you just listed and stuff like that. And that's going to be a more long-term way of sort of getting our quality of life and keeping our longevity and getting the potential of that. And you mentioned acronyms before. I did see an acronym on your website, the EMPIRE acronym, which was your minimum potential years remaining. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how do people respond to that sort of thing when they're sort of given a number on their minimum potential years remaining?
Well, first of all, I recommend that everybody go take that little test.
It's interesting, definitely
very
interesting.
Very simple. It's 100yearlifestyle.com. It's where you start your 100-year lifestyle journey with your empire. And when you ask, how do people react to it? And the answer is all across the board.
Right.
When you put in the age of your oldest grandparent or great-grandparent or parent that ever lived or is still living, and then you put in your current age, it's going to give you a number. And that number is your minimum, not your maximum, but your minimum potential years remaining based on what we know and what you'll know about your family history. So let's say, for example, your oldest relative was 90 and you're 45.
Yep.
Well, that means your minimum potential years remaining is 45 years based on your family history. So when you say, how do people react, Tris, here's the answer. Some people will freak out and they'll say, oh my God, 45 more years. I can't even imagine 45 more hours based on how I feel and my relationships and my work and my money and my all that stuff. And they freak out.
Yep.
And some people will say, wow, that's exciting. I'm really excited, man. I want to go visit Dr. Plasker in the United States. I want to go to Europe. I want to travel all over Australia. And they get excited. I want to know my great-great-great-grandchildren. So it really, your lifestyle and how you're living and your health really determines a lot of how you react to that number. But regardless of what that number is today, if you make the changes, you can get super excited about your extended life.
So some people might take that on as a challenge when you sort of give them their minimum potential years remaining. And want to extend that, and obviously that's what you assist people with, is making that number as good as possible, but also having quality of life. And I suppose, like you just mentioned, some people might freak out at the thought of having an extra 45 years and sort of everything that goes into maintaining themselves for 45 years. And one of those things is also financially. Do you have many people freak out about the sort of financial aspect of will they have enough sort of superannuation or sorry, that's what we call it here in Australia, the 401k, I believe it is in America, or sort of retirement fund.
Right.
Do people freak out about the sort of financial aspect of having an extended life?
And here's, some people do freak out about it. But what we talk about a lot in the 100-Year Lifestyle, which I think is important, I'm really glad you brought this up. Retirement is an outdated concept. Retirement was created, the concept of retirement was created when the life expectancy was in the mid to late 60s. That's how long people were living when the concept of retirement was created. So you were supposed to live to 65, retire for a few years, live off that retirement for a few years, and then you were supposed to die. But the challenge is, as time went on and people started adapting to the world and people started taking care of themselves better, and sanitation got better and food distribution got better, and crap being in the street wasn't the normal thing anymore. There was plumbing and all of these things. People started living longer. And so what happened is that as people started living longer, the concept of retirement, instead of being for just a few years, it then became a decade and then 2 decades. And now it's literally 3 to 4 decades sometimes.
Yeah.
So the concept of retirement is outdated.
Yep.
And so what we have to understand is, if you're doing the 100-Year Lifestyle, is finding your passion, applying your talents and passion, that ATP that you like to talk about, that we talk about, applying your talents and passion and doing it for a lifetime. And you will really enjoy the fact that in your most productive years will be your 60s, your 70s, and your 80s. But it's also the time where you have the most balance, where you can travel the world because you have more resources, and you're not living off of a fixed income anymore. You still are generating money out of the talent you've developed over the years, the businesses that you've built, the reputation that you've built. You're able to not live on this fixed, finite amount of money in a poverty consciousness, but you could keep expanding and having your wisdom and talents influence people in the world.
So it's also sort of changing people's mindsets as well, sort of putting them on their right track with their health and sort of mental stability, and sort of, getting them sort of mentally prepared for the fact that they're going to have a longer life, and to not think like, oh, it could all finish tomorrow, because the reality is there will be a tomorrow. So be prepared for those bills, be prepared that you're going to want to be able to have movement and make the most of your ability in those tomorrows. And start looking forward to a much longer lifestyle.
Yeah, it's really true. And if you understand these basic premises of the vision of the 100-Year Lifestyle, see, in my generation growing up, we'd look at our older generation, our grandparents and great-grandparents, and we'd say, well, they're living on borrowed time. So they should be suffering. But that's not true. That's completely not true. It is birthright time, not borrowed time. Because from the moment of conception, the blueprints for your longevity, if you didn't kill yourself slowly or quickly along the way, the blueprints for your longevity were embedded from the moment of conception. And so if you eat healthy and you take care of yourself and you keep your body balanced and functioning properly, and you make good choices along the way, then who knows what the upward limit is. We talked about your minimum potential years, but what's the maximum? Nobody knows what your maximum is. And so if you make these good choices, and listen, there's a lot of people listening, maybe a lot of your listeners, where they're saying, but Dr. Plasker, man, I have not made good choices. I'm a wreck. Well, that's why we have the 3 life-changing principles of the 100-Year Lifestyle that can help you get on track and get your life back, get your momentum back, so that you make from this day forward quality years.
Yeah, beautiful. And what's sort of the earliest age that you would start somebody on this sort of thing?
You know, honestly, people start raising their babies this way.
Yeah, right.
So the people that have been following us for 20 years, they get pregnant and have babies, and they do it holistically, and they nurse their babies. They feed them good nutrition. They keep them outside moving, and they minimize their visits to allopathic doctors that might provide what could be dangerous things to them, and injecting into their body. They keep their bodies straight and strong. They minimize their technology time. They get them out moving out in the world. They keep them fit and exercising as a family. And so they raise their kids that way. They keep them aligned and balanced. They talk to them about posture. They talk to them about nutrition. It becomes a culture that people raise their family by. We have actually a ebook on 100yearlifestyle.com. It's called Raising Super Healthy Families that we give away for free. If you can just put in Raising Healthy Families or Families in the search bar, and it'll pop up. But it's free. We want people to understand, because the younger generations need to understand how to think differently about their longevity potential. So I'll tell you, Tris, there was a young kid that really changed my life. This 10-year-old kid, I was giving a speech in Washington State. And this 10-year-old kid was in the audience with his family. I didn't even know he was there. And he came up to me afterwards and he said to me, "Dr. Plasker, you changed my life today." And I said, "Who are you? What do you mean I changed your life?" And he was a tiny little 10-year-old. And his name was Nico. He looked up and he said to me, "Well, Dr. Plasker, my grandparents died from cancer. I have been worried for years." 10-year-old kid. "I have been worried for years."
10-year-old kid worried about things like that.
That I was going to die from cancer too. But he said, "Now I'm not worried anymore." And he scurried off. And it was really cute. And then he came back and he said to me, "And Dr. Plasker, I'm going to be a motivational speaker." And he literally the next day, Tris, he sent me a video that his parents took of him. He did his first motivational speech, made a YouTube channel, and he sent it to me. And we actually have it on our website now also. It's in an article. It's embedded in an article called Children's Longevity Threatened. And you could see Nico giving that speech. And then I realized in that moment that we aren't just changing the adults' lives, we're changing the families' lives and the children's lives as well.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's like a generational impact, you know. It's shows that a sort of legacy that will go with your work as well. And I noticed it is the 100-Year Lifestyle series. So it's more than just a book. Is there sort of like an ongoing sort of network and sort of support around people and their 100-year lifestyle goals and achievements?
So what we do is people go to 100-Year Lifestyle. Once they fill out that empire, they get plugged in, they get exposed to all kinds of content and resources on the website. And they plug into our podcast, they plug into our relationships and friends like you, and we have different guidebooks. So for example, we have Becoming a Least Vulnerable Person, which is another book that teaches people how to change their immune system health so that they're not living in fear. That came out right after the pandemic hit. We have, like I said, the Raising Super Healthy Families. We also have 100% for 100 years that's coming out on the first of the year, where people can get plugged into living at 100% for 100 years and beyond. We had the 100-Year Lifestyle Workout book, which was released in 2010. I believe you can still get it online. And we have fitness information on 100yearlifestyle.com. So we have all kinds of resources, and people email us all the time. So we stay in touch with everybody, and we love hearing people's stories.
And so it's sort of available internationally, not just locally where you are. You're mentioning a lot of it's online and sort of all that, so people can converse and get that support wherever they are in the world?
Correct. And so it's interesting, when the 100-Year Lifestyle came out, one of the first tours that I took was a tour of Australia. I got invited. I have a lot of chiropractic friends in Australia, and they invited me over. I actually did a series of seminars on the 100-Year Lifestyle. I did one in Melbourne, I did one in Perth, and I did one in Sydney. And we touched a lot of people's lives. And so there's quite a lot of doctors, chiropractors that have heard of this and use this. We actually have a 100-Year Lifestyle office just north of Perth, I think in Galberton, I think it's called. Great office there. You can find it on the map on 100yearlifestyleproviders.com. Dr. Lisa Naira does a great job with her team there. And so yeah, we're really excited about the impact that we're having, not just locally, but globally.
Yeah, right. So there's sort of a network set up. Even here in Perth, there's offices where people can go in and be seen by a chiropractor and help them out with their posture and stuff like that, and get the maximum benefits out of that aspect of it as well.
Correct. And we don't have anybody listed in Perth right now.
Yeah.
Those people, they may have bought our books and some of our other materials. They're not listed on our site right now, but Dr. Lisa is a little bit further north. But if you find a chiropractor, you can ask them if they've heard of the 100-Year Lifestyle and if they've heard of Dr. Eric Plasker, and good chance that they have, and they'll be able to provide the chiropractic resources and maybe the 100-Year Lifestyle resources to you in a way that can make a difference for them.
Yeah, beautiful. And just lastly, I suppose, do you have any just sort of little tips or tidbits that you should suggest to people, sort of maybe things to watch out for, how not to treat their body quickly, or little tips that people can do just to relieve their posture just at home by themselves?
Yes, and I'm going to answer your question a little differently than what you asked it. Here's the best tip that I believe that I could give you, is that, the 100-Year Lifestyle is all about change. And these are not changes that necessarily that I want you to make, because I don't know you, but what we found out over the years training thousands and thousands and thousands of people, every one of your listeners, everyone listening right now, you know what you need to change. You've known that you've needed to make these changes, whether it's nutrition, whether it's your exercise, whether it's your stress levels, whether it's how you interact in your relationships, how you handle your finances. You know what you need to change. And if you know what you need to change, you should also ask yourself, is not making the changes that you know you need to make causing you some level of suffering? And if the answer is yes, then I'm going to tell you that there's only one thing worse than suffering, and it's suffering for 100 years. It's perpetual suffering. So if you begin, and you could follow the 3 life-changing principles of the 100-Year Lifestyle, you can get them on our website. They're in the book. If you get these 3 life-changing principles and you start to make the changes that you know you need to make, your quality of life will improve instantly. Yeah, right. And if you don't make the changes that you know you need to make, you will continue to suffer. So what's exciting is the responsibility is in your hands. You have what it takes. You can do it. If you commit to it, you will literally get younger every day. You will get excited about that, and you will personalize your journey, not just some cookbook from some bald-headed guru like me somewhere across the country, but you will make the changes, and you will really just see it instantly within your own life and make it very, very personal, which is exciting, and we love that.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, thanks heaps. You've definitely provided a lot of information tonight, and hopefully it helped people out and pointed them in the right direction. I'm sure there's people that are definitely much in need of your teachings. Thanks a lot for being on the show tonight here at IPL Radio, and I wish you all the best with your 100-Year Lifestyle series.
Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you, and thanks everybody for listening, and maybe we'll see you down under in the great place, Perth, which I'd love to come back and visit.
Beautiful. Thanks very much, Dr. Plasker. And
take care, my friend.
Now we're gonna go to some songs and wrap this up. But that's about it. Let me see what we have here.